Oh hey, it's Wes. And today, it's time to talk about a new wireless mic system. I know I've done a lot of videos on these in the past, but you know what? I like them and I find them interesting, so let's keep on going with it. Today, our subject is the new Godox MoveLink M2. Now it's not that it's a sequel, it's that this is the pack that has two transmitters. This is a 2.4 gigahertz compact system. And where have we seen this before? Well, we've seen this in a couple places. Most ubiquitously, we have seen this with the Rode Wireless Go system. Let's move over here, Godox. And this is something that we see all the time. It just became everywhere. That's why I said ubiquitous. That's what that means. And as we can see, pretty similar size and form factor, just a little bit narrower and a little bit longer. But how does it perform? Well, we're going to put it right up against the Rode a little later on, so stay tuned for that. Also similar in another way to Hollyland's Lark 150 system, because as you can see, it comes in a case. A very sleek, very appropriately sized case for this particular application. I have the mic on myself, so we're currently using this. This is the receiver we are currently using as well, and it is plugged into this camera right here. So it doesn't have very far to go right now. So this is not the stress test part of this video. Anyway, let's get into it and start with the categories. As always, number one, the build quality. So for the build quality, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. It is made of plastic, but that's not unusual at all for this field. Almost all of them are made of plastic, so that's pretty well normal. It feels pretty nice on the hand though, and has a little bit of heft to it, unlike the Hollyland Lark 150, which is even smaller, but feels very chintzy in the hand. It doesn't feel like much of anything. Feels like if there is a battery in there, it must be very small, which unfortunately is the case. The Lark does not last very long on battery. And I have to mention that for those who poo-poo on Godox for reliability, here's another Godox wireless mic kit. And this transmitter right here, I left it outside after a wedding, unfortunately, at the venue. And the venue management didn't know it was there until I messaged them a week later. I forgot that I left it outside. It was a rainy week. This sat in the rain for 1 week and still works. I wouldn't recommend trying that, but honestly, I was shocked. The rechargeable batteries inside it are rusted right out, but the transmitter pack works fine. Very strange. For the build quality, the only thing that I've had fail on these in the past was the clip on the back. This clip feels pretty sturdy, and it also has a little magnetic plate in the back of it, so you can use this to magnetize against objects. I have ferromagnetic plates in the back of my iPhone case, and so, little magnet there, goes right on there. It comes with a couple little magnet tabs. Let me get those out. Right here. I've never even taken them out of the box because I can very clearly see that they're not that strong. There. That's, I didn't have to move much. I'm sure that little magnetic plate will turn up eventually in my underwear. It is a magnet, not very strong. So I'm not sure how practical the application for that is. But overall, it seems to be a decent quality. I trust it. And the case is exactly as robust as it needs to be. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 for build quality. Feature set. And this is really where these devices differentiate each other a lot these days. New features have been added in the past year that weren't there before. Until now, the market has been pretty stagnant. So one feature that you can get now is a charging case. So this case here with the Hollyland Lark has a battery inside it, single USB-C input, so you put them in here, they charge. That's fantastic. This one from Godox, however, don't get confused, there is no battery in this case. It just charges via USB-C. We take them all, we put them back in the case, we grab your favorite USB-C cable, and you plug it in here, and all of a sudden, they're all charging Bada bing, bada boom. Initially, I would have thought that not having a battery in the case, even the smallest of batteries, would be a downside. But after using the Hollyland Lark 150 for, goodness, it's been a year, this is probably my favorite one when it comes to run and gun shooting. The problem is, with the battery in the case, this thing constantly boots up and recharges the little batteries inside these, and it's always cycling itself. When I get back to the case, the battery in the case is empty, because it has power cycled so many times in my absence. This is incredibly annoying. However, with this Godox, I had them fully charged in the case for about a month. Yeah, I'm a little late putting this review out. And the battery life didn't change on the transmitters. So that is hilarious and sad. So you put these in a battery charging case for a month, it drains itself. You put them in this non-battery charging case for a month, nothing happens. They're shut down and they do nothing. So there are ups and downs to this process. Okay, moving right along. These do have a better battery life than the Hollylands. These come at 6 hours, and I don't doubt that assessment, probably a tiny bit less. When I use the Hollyland Lark, I might get an hour of battery life. They're supposed to be way higher than that. Then the Rhodes, depends. It's about the same though, not quite as high as the Godox. The thing that is super annoying about the Rode, however, is you have to charge every one of these individually, and they take forever to charge. I think taking 4 to 5 hours to charge one of these, maybe longer, whereas all of these Godoxes for me charge in less than 3 hours. Still not super fast, especially with a super tiny battery, but much faster than the Rodes. They do, however, lack the ability of the Rode Wireless Go 2 to record on board on the transmitter, which means if you lose signal on the Rodes, the new ones, you don't necessarily lose your recording. That's fantastic. These ones can't do that. It includes all the accessories that you might want. Obviously that box, you've got the lapel mic, and you've got these fuzzies. I want to talk about the dead cat, or the wind muff, for a second, because this is the first time that I have had a wind muff that works this well. Not only is it reasonably effective, it's not the effectiveness I'm talking about, it doesn't come off. All these other devices, even though on the Rode, this isn't even the default one that came with the Rode, I have lost all of them. The ones that came with the original Rode clip in this teeny, tiny little thing on the mic jack. If you breathe on it, it falls off. So this is one from another manufacturer. I don't even remember which one, but it lines up pretty well with the Rode. So it inserts into the mic jack, but it doesn't seal well around it. I think that air gets in around the sides a little bit. And even so, even though it feels like it's going in well, I've had these fall off on multiple occasions. So hard to keep track of all these. But on the Godox, we have the opposite problem. You get this on, and it is hard to get back off again, because it clips on real hard on both sides. There are little indentations. They obviously planned for this, whereas the other ones all feel like an afterthought. There. You really got to claw it back to get those little indentations back out again. And that's fantastic, honestly. Like, that's great. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that's one of my favorite parts about this, that I don't have to worry about that stupid wind muff. I can put it on and it's not gonna fall off again. Another advantage this has over the Rode Wireless Go is that you have 16 volume levels you can go through. You adjust them on the receiver here, and you can customize it much better. Whereas on the Rode, I find the 3 levels that you get out of it, they're just not customizable enough. I find it's almost always too loud or not loud enough. No screen to really tell you anything on this. So on this one, both sides have screens, and that's fantastic. Also, an advantage over the Lark 150, these Lark 150 transmitters, there is no way to charge them outside of the charging case. Whereas with these Godox modules, you can charge them via USB-C individually or in the charging case. Great versatility there. You can shoot in stereo or mono, record rather. That's great too. You have a headphone jack here. It's great. It's super simple, very nice. We'll talk about usability a little bit later. Also, there are optional accessories such as the interview mic handle that you can use with that as well. I don't know, it's not expensive, so I'm not going to knock them on it. I don't expect them to throw it in for free though. Overall, The only things we're lacking here is onboard recording and a built-in battery in the case, which can go either way. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 for feature set. Sound quality. You're listening to it right now. You tell me, how does it sound? I find that it sounds a little bit boomy, but very smooth, a little bit mid-heavy, of course, but it is easily edited. It doesn't make too much of itself as some mic systems that try to give you nice crispy audio. For me, I have a lot of sibilance in my S's, and I don't really appreciate that or find it terribly useful. So I like this. It's not perfectly polished though. I don't want to bring it into the camera and just shoot it out to the world without any changes. So I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. Not my favorite. My favorite audio actually is the Hollyland Lark 150. I find that's the most natural, straight out of the mic. Usability. The biggest part about usability is the signal integrity, especially at range. And so let's go to outside west and see how that holds up. All right, here we are out in the great blue yonder. It's not that blue, but we're going to test the wireless signal strength. Now, I have one on each lapel here. Why is that? Well, number one, I wanted to use the cubes because you can put the wind muffs on them, and it's a little bit windy today, so we'll see how well those work. And number two, some people have complained that wearing two transmitters at once will cause interference between the two of them. But to me, there's very little interference in this neighborhood, just my own Wi-Fi, that's it. So, in a lot of situations, I'll be in a room with 30 to 50 mobile phones, tons of wireless interference. So, with these close to each other, this is the least of the interference they're going to be experiencing in their lifetimes. So I would actually prefer to have them right on top of each other, duking it out, just to see how well they can spread their spectrums and get this going and maintain their connections. But, you know, some people would take great issue with that. So either side of my head's a pretty good insulator. So let's do our range test, and we can compare this to past things. So we've got the Rode Wireless Go on this shoulder, and we've got the Godox on this shoulder. Let's do this. All right, so I am a normal walk and talk distance away from the camera. Just gonna turn around a little bit here. We're turning around and making sound. We're turning around and making sound. Now, I don't know how this is gonna fare, but honestly, I think the Godox did a little bit worse than the Rode, just from experience. We'll find out. Let's get a little further away here. About 10 feet away. And now we are about 25 feet away. I would consider this a pretty normal distance to be filming a wedding. So it's kind of halfway or all the way down the aisle. And so let's see how that does with interference, because if I clip this on someone, I can't control whether or not they're moving around or getting in front of or behind the microphone. Now, I'm going to go behind an obstruction here. A little bit of wood, the corner of my house. All right, now I'm hiding behind the corner of my house. Hiding behind the corner of my house, I'm rotating. Give each of the same amount of time pointing in one direction or another. And we'll see later how well that did. Let's get a little further away. These are mostly rated to work to about 100 meters. I don't know if that's actually going to work out, because generally after about 25 feet, they start to get pretty unreliable. But we're going to push it right to the end. I see that DJI has a new transmitter out. It makes pretty lofty claims, so I'm going to try to get a hold of one of those and Alright, so now we are about 50 meters away, which is considered the maximum not even considered the maximum distance for a lot of these. Get a little wet here. Let's give it a little spin. When I tested the Hollyland Lark, it was interesting. The spec said it could go 100 meters, but then when I talked to the engineering department, they were quite sore with me for having tested it more than, I think, 25 feet away, because they said they didn't intend for it to work that way. But I'll just go with what the manual said. We're operating on 2.4 gigahertz on both of these, not Bluetooth, so we get better range than that. And we're coming back. I can probably hear the leaves squishing under my feet. Oof. Can't believe it's this cold again already. Should have gone out a couple days ago when it was nicer outside. Pretty sure I can see the wind moving the spectrum there. Oh wait, there's one more thing. I have to go behind the camera and see how this works through the car. I always do that. Let's do this. I'm walking beside the car. I'm walking behind the car. I am ducking down behind the car, so now I'm ducked down behind the car, doing a full 360 while ducked down behind the car, and coming up beside the car. The car is immediately behind the tripod, so we're only about 10 feet away when we go to the car. Gonna focus on my face? You gotta do it? There it is. Probably should have set it faster than slow, so we can keep up. Huh, huh, huh. Back to you, Wes. Oh, that did not go well. Okay, so these transmitters supposedly have automatic frequency hopping. So even if the road was getting in the way, it shouldn't have been that much of an issue. So that is unfortunate. But we have to move on. Now, standing at the desk here, let's try this at a more normal distance. Let's just say I'm a vlogger. I'm not recording a wedding here. So we're just gonna move around a little bit. We're moving around, we're moving around. We're just rotating. I don't know, did it cut out? We'll find out in the edit. And so, there you go. Reception, not fantastic. See, this thing is rated to work for 50 meters, and I didn't even get that far away, and it was just toast. So that is a shame. At close distances, it works great. At a big distance, can you imagine being twice as far away as I was and trying to use these? This is not going to work for 50 meters. And I have a big plot of land here. There is not a lot going on, especially when I'm outside. Inside, I'll have a little bit of Wi-Fi interference, but only on one channel. I can't see any other Wi-Fi routers from around here. Very poor cell reception inside my house, so it just doesn't make any sense. There's nothing interfering with this for the most part, especially when this is off. Moving right along though, other positives. These are tiny, compact, lightweight. That's not unexpected. You've got USB-C charging, whichever way you want. Another usability positive. The menus, doesn't even have menus. It's just easy to navigate and do what you want. No problem there. Compact magnetic charging case. I love this charging case because it can fit in your pocket. This one, unless you're a cargo pants aficionado, this is not fitting in any pockets. So that's a bit of a shame. I wish that they had made this a more convenient, pocketable shape in some way, because that's a big problem. I mean, it's beautiful, it's a nice little display piece, but it's not highly practical. And again, for usability, these wind muffs are fantastic. Negatives. When you put the transmitter on top of your camera, this is what you see. That is all you see. That is not useful. And so you got the screen on top, which by default dims, then you can press a button to brighten it back up again. This is also an issue with the Rode Wireless Go. The screen is only on the top. Not super useful. If everybody put their screen on the top, I wouldn't have a big problem with it. The Hollyland Lark, however, the screen is on the back. So when it's on your camera, it is incredibly easy to see and to use. Additionally, if you're changing the volume on the Hollyland Lark, easy as pie, you've got a volume control for each one of the channels. Whereas changing the volume on this is just a little bit more involved. So overall, not a lot of negatives, but we have to lose some points for that reception, so it's going to be a 7 out of 10. Value. Our Godox MoveLink 2-pack comes in at 200 bucks. That's not too bad. Is there anything cheaper? Yes, there is. We have the Sony Tiny 2X, which is $170. I tested that in the past. There's a link somewhere here. I didn't really like the sound, but hey, it worked. And then there's the 7 Rims iRay. Very compact UHF transmitter system. That is also less for $185. I find it works pretty well and has way better range and reliability than the Godox. But working on UHF has its ups and downs. Movo has a similar set, the Duo, $180 to $200. Comica Boom XU, I also reviewed, 250 bucks. Doesn't have a charging case. Got the Hollyland Lark here. All this jazz will get you for $330. That's a lot more. And the Rode kit with lapel mics, because Rode doesn't come with lapel mics, that'll set you back $457. Cha-ching. And Deity has their Connect Dual for $670. So this isn't at the top by any means, but it's not absolutely the cheapest way that you can get this job done. Honestly, the cheapest that I would recommend would be this one right here. So I gotta give that a 9 out of 10. Solid price, but not the cheapest. It's close. So overall, that gives us a total of 40 out of 50, that's 80%. That is a solid score. Let me know what you think about the performance and whether or not it's perfectly acceptable to you down in the comments below. We will chat about that. If you think I missed something, let me know as well, and we'll get back to that. If you want to pick up one of these, I've got links down in the description below. If you buy it, you can help support this channel and feed my fat cats. Oh, big stretch. So until next time, let's go take some photos.